Hey guys, welcome back. Cleve here with rentachair.com.au, Australia's rent-a-chair salon approval system. And we are about to go inside kit number one and show you just what I have here and just point out some recommendations for you. And so let's open up this particular folder here. And this one is pretty self-explanatory. We're going to go through, just have a read me first document, and of course that's just simply, a document that stresses I've made every effort to put all the information I can possibly put for you with all the knowledge that I have and have had together in this program for you, and I've done my best to actually make sure that that is accurate. And of course, naturally, there's no guarantees or I'm not professing to be a lawyer or so forth. What I am saying is it's worked for me, it's worked for a ton of other salons in Australia. I have hundreds of salons around Australia who have purchased this program from me over the years, and many of them have been approved. And so that opening little document is just to read me first, kind of like a little disclaimer in a sense. Anyway, then there is the Rent-A-Chair Getting Started ebook. Now, this book is something I have written to give you an orientation of both the industry and kind of like, it's a quick and easy read, but basically kind of a synopsis of what you're getting yourself into. I believe you need to read this first because it kind of warms you up to this entire process and gets you a little bit more kind of tapped in and plugged into the entire process and what this is really all about. Now, it is quite unique. It's very different to the traditional business model of owning a salon where you're a employer-employee relationship. So this specific model that I've created changes that, providing you get approved by the government. It changes that and allows you to operate as a micro salon or a rent-a-chair salon. So this Getting Started book just pretty much takes you through the entire concept and what's new about it. Then I go through the business structure and how to set things up properly, so your taxation and everything from business names, permits, registrations, health and safety, and all of those sort of laborious things, but they are still there, and you still have an obligation as a micro salon to abide by those. And I go through that and actually discuss how and why. And then we go through some taxation obligations, and also just some things that you can claim and some deductions, and getting yourself kind of set up properly there. Then of course a big one that I'm kind of big area I'm always been into and love very much, of course, is the marketing. And here we'll just go through basically everything from getting yourself set up, the differences in customer service and mindset, and also pricing yourself, getting referrals, cross-pollinating with businesses, and kind of how to get the most out of your micro salon. Now, it also is a phenomenal book to give to your renters as well, and that's why I've put it in here, because I thoroughly recommend that every renter you have in your salon read this book, because it helps them, especially in this marketing area, it helps them make the shift in their mind from being a employed operator in the past to a self-employed operator. Now there's a big mind shift there, but anyway, so that goes through this here all the way through to email marketing and how to set yourself up, get a website. And then we go through some business planning, very important, another topic that I have spent a lot of time working on. You should never approach anything without having a business plan first. We go through some banking, both how you set yourself up and also how your renters can set themselves up, because it's an entirely different platform and it's very different to whatever you've been operating before, because the concept of a cash register, one cash register so to speak, or one till drawer in the salon is no longer applicable, and we'll pace you through that, and I'll explain that entire process through there. And let's have a look here. Then we go through some getting yourself set up with your ABNs, GST. How does that work? Do you have to have a different ABN? Do your renters have to have an ABN? Do your renters have to pay, how do they pay their tax, and how that works out? So that pretty much, that's a great little couple of pages there. Insurance, I pace you through the insurance possibilities, what happens there. Now, what changes within your insurance structure, and then the actual renters themselves. So, because you now have a completely different dynamic and a different model, so what happens for you and what happens for them, I explain in here. Superannuation, of course, big deal for both you and also for your renters. So once again, make sure they get this book. So what are your obligations for bookkeeping? What changes for you as the salon owner? And what should your renters participate in? What kind of bookkeeping and accounting systems would they need and should they have? And then of course, products, how does that work? So if you've got a retail area and you sell, so what happens from there? If you've got these renters in your salon, do they have their own? Do you have your own? So this pretty much goes through a nice little orientation on that, and then dealing with clients themselves and making this transition easy for them. So how do you operate, or how do you operate this new structure in the eyes of your customer, in the eyes of your clients? How is it different for them, and how are you going to transition that? So are you going to make that easy and seamless, or are you going to try and hang on to the old model and they might get a little confused? So I pace you through that as well. We talk about a little technology, and then becoming a solo operator here without actually moving salons. So that's the renters themselves. So let's say you employed a hairstylist, and then they want to switch over to this micro salon, or they would become a solo salon because they're operating within your micro salon. How do you navigate that? So how does that work? Because there's a tremendous amount of legality issues related with that, because they were once your employee, and now they're going to become an independent operator within your structure. So how does that work? I pace you through that there. And then of course,